Marco Rubio is running for the Senate seat in Florida. He's in a primary against Charlie Crist. He's beloved by conservatives. Everybody's got his back, and they're even talking about him maybe running for president in 2012. That's how much conservatives love Marco Rubio. Now, he was the Speaker of the House when the Republicans are in charge, of course, in Florida. And he has a track record there. And now that he's, doing rather well and has overtaken Charlie Crist, all of a sudden we have some stories about Marco Rubio's past. I mean, is he clean as a whistle, or do we have some issues? Well, he's actually run into a couple of ethics issues. One is about credit cards that the Republican Party gets. So they're supposed to take these credit cards and spend it, obviously, for GOP reasons, including fundraising. And, and sometimes for fundraising, you have to wine and dine people, etc. But it looks like Marco Rubio, ex-State Party Chairman Jim Greer, and ex-Party Executive Director Delmar Johnson are now being officially investigated by the U.S. Attorney's Office in Tallahassee, the FBI, and the Internal Revenue Service, because they might have used those credit cards for a hell of a lot more than just GOP purposes or the regular wining and dining of potential donors. Now, we're going to find out more about that as that investigation unfolds. So right now, we don't have the details on what he might have done or the other guys might have done in terms of, how they abused those credit cards. Now, this has become a fairly big internal scandal within the Republican Party. Now, Rubio has not been charged, so let's find out about that later when we get more details, okay? But that's an obvious issue for him. Then issue number two is DeSalle Tobacco Company has given a lot of money to Rubio's campaigns, and they're a tobacco company out of Florida, when they got a really neat deal, which is that all of the tobacco companies have to pay a certain tax in Florida. There is one exception, the DeSalle Tobacco Company. Funny how they give money to the Speaker of the House, and then they wind up getting this exemption. In fact, in his role as Speaker of the House, this issue that was brought up earlier about DeSalle Tobacco Company, why they should be the only company that doesn't have to pay this tax, guess who decided not to bring it up? Marco Rubio, the Speaker of the House, was like, yeah, you know what? I don't think we should even debate that issue. And in Florida, the Speaker of the House has the right to do that. So it doesn't even come up. You can't vote on it. You can't do anything on it. You can't even discuss it. When asked about this, he doesn't deny it. He says, well, I'm against taxes. And if anybody who's against taxes wants to donate to me, sure, I'll take their money. Except this is not, I'm against all taxes. You're saying, yeah, I am for taxes on Philip Morris and all the other tobacco companies, but the guy who gives me money, well, he gets off scot-free. And DeSalle has used that advantage in Florida to become the number 3 largest tobacco company in the state. Now, in Mississippi, where they don't have that advantage, same exact situation, but they get taxed along with everybody else, they're not as big. Okay? So obviously, and it's an enormous competitive advantage. How did they get that advantage? By buying a politician. What do I always tell you? Best investment you can make in America. Politicians come cheap. So now there are other issues involving Marco Rubio, the so-called conservative, and who's supposed to be so disciplined and principled, etc. Now there are 4 other things brought up by the St. Petersburg Times, but I'm going to mention only 2 of them. Rubio earmarked money to Florida International University, that's a local college there, obviously, and later got an unadvertised job at the school. Funny how that works out. Kind of like a no-bid contract. It wasn't put up for any kind of advertisement. It's just Marco Rubio got that, and they didn't really mention it to anybody. When the former school president, Mitch Madak, was asked about it, he said Rubio was, quote, worth every penny. Well, I bet he was. I bet he was. And then finally, and you can read more about this at the St. Petersburg Times because they've got more where this came from. After appropriating millions of dollars to Miami's Children's and Jackson Memorial Hospitals, Rubio, now, okay, first of all, pause right there. You're going to give to the hospitals and you're part of the government of Florida. That makes perfect sense, right? So far, no problem. The second part is the problem. Rubio formed a lobby shop and got contracts with the hospitals. So he's Speaker of the House, and he opens up a lobby shop and says, well, if you'd like to continue getting those contracts and state money, remember, Rubio, the conservative, is supposed to protect the state money, right? If you'd like to keep getting those contracts, maybe you'd like to hire my lobbying company. Look, this is the stuff that happens every day. This is why we get so frustrated with our politicians. It's absurd. It's out of control. And, a lot of this stuff is legal. The credit card stuff might not be, obviously, a major investigation there. We'll see how that develops. But You know, why are they allowed to do this? Why are they allowed to make all this money based on the decisions that they make in government and the contracts that they dole out as politicians? It's egregious. And it's sickening. All right, real conservative Marco Rubio. And the problem they have with Charlie Crist is he might be gay.